I did promise I was going to talk about why I'm not a fan of Game Grumps anymore. I've had a story on here forever that I guess I'll never get to. Uh, oh man, I took so many fucking notes on this, and I'm not gonna be able to go. Okay, so I was way more upset about this when it happened than I am now. I've gone through the stages of grief, and now I'm at acceptance. I've accepted what happened, and it sucks. So the story is the if you're looking for reasons to not watch Game Grumps, you don't have to look far. I didn't realize how many fucking problems there were. I had been a fan of Game Grumps since its inception. I was there on what was the first episode was Super Smash Bros. Brawl, right? I believe so. I know one of the first series was Goof Troop and Kirby, and I was there, man. I was a fan of Egoraptor for the vast majority of my childhood. Even before I knew that he was the person behind DBZ in a nutshell or whatever. Back in the Newground days, there was still Metal Gear Awesome and the Awesome series in general, and I watched that shit growing up, and look at me now. But and then from Game Grumps, I became a fan of JonTron, and then because of Egoraptor's involvement in the Ninja Sex Party video for Dinosaur Laser Fight, I became a fan of Ninja Sex Party, and then when those two combined after John left, I was a fan of Game Grumps for a long time. I fell off them after a while, and there were a lot of various problematic things that slowly chipped at my patience, and I found myself getting annoyed at the fact that like they dropped, and a lot of YouTubers been doing this, and it fucking annoys me. It's for the algorithm, but like whatever. Audience satisfaction should matter more than the numbers you get. So they dropped like episode numbers from their titles and thumbnails. So you could pop up an episode and it'd be in the middle of a series, and you'd be like, "What the fuck?" I don't know. The thumbnails got all weird, and I don't know. I just started to get annoyed and more annoyed, and then, but I still enjoyed them. I was still waiting for the 10-minute Power Hour to come back. I still watched every once in a while, despite the various things. Especially now that I'm trying to not reference them, I'm realizing just how many inside jokes and shit were based on them, on various Ninja Sex Party videos, Game Grumps videos, Egoraptor videos. I realized how much I was involved in them, and I've had friendships form because I made a random Game Grumps reference in the middle of class, and I bought merch. I went to Game Grumps Live with a friend of mine, and so I was a big fucking fan. I had my gripes, but none of them were big enough, at least to my awareness of them, to get me to stop watching. Then the straw that broke the camel's back, and then helped me realize there was way more fucking straws than I thought there were, was the situation with Danny and the accusations that came out. And I want to be very clear here. It has there's been a lot of talk about it. Not as much anymore. I am far departed from when this was the relevant story. But for those who don't know the situation, there was a post on a subreddit dedicated to detailing problems with Game Grumps. Some people described it as just a hate group, which is not true. Basically detailing in the short form that there was a text conversation between Dan Avidan, Danny Sexbang of Ninja Sex Party and Game Grumps, and a girl who was 17, where she was a fan, they were talking, and then after she turned to 18, they got closer and closer text-wise, and then they met up and fucked because the impression was that she was basically being convinced that she was not just a booty call to Danny, and that there was something there. Then they fuck, and then he completely ghosts her. Now, this is not the only story. There have been other people who have also said stuff similar to this, and there are people who have worked with Danny who have said that he is everything from a predator to an abusive liar, things like this. There's someone who used to work with them that made a whole fucking play about it, and who, despite a lot of people saying that none of the accusations are true and everything was done, still held by their word and was not getting near enough fucking credit for what they were saying, despite everything and all the backlash they were bound to get from that. So first of all, there was no confirmation of sexual acts being done with anyone who was below the age of 18. So there was no pedophilia involved, although it is fucking very creepy that a person in their 40s, nearing 50, was talking to a fan who was under the age of 18, and then started convincing them that there was something romantic going on and flirting with them and sending them illicit videos and stuff like that, and then fucking them, all for the sake of just getting a pump and dump type of situation. So that's basically the situation there. And there was a lot of fucking people who were very quick to defend Danny with various things, such as mischaracterizing the source. People who were just bashing, well, it was on this Reddit, therefore it can't be trusted. People who were, the person isn't saying who they are, so they can't be trusted. This, that, and the other is not adding up, and everyone's apparently a fucking lawyer on the internet, so they have to be convinced that something is wrong, otherwise nothing happened. Because just because there's no proof of something happening proves that nothing happened, apparently, except no, that's not how it works. A lot of people were quick to point out, oh, it isn't illegal for adults to have sex, so why are you getting all upset about it? Dude, if you were preying on your audience to have sex with people who you could reasonably be their grandparent, and convincing them that it's not just that, but it's supposed to be something more, and then it isn't, that's predatory behavior. And while it may not be illegal, doesn't mean it's fucking right. And it's sure as shit a reason to criticize and think less of a person for doing that. A lot of people were being very condescending in their defense, going out of their way to try to discredit people over the person's argument, which is a bastion of someone who does not have an argument. There is something to be said for considering the source of an argument, but when your only response to this is what the claim is, this is my thoughts on it, well, you're just a blah, 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 and you're this and you're that, so fuck you. No, that's just proof you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you have no defense for it. A lot of people would post the same video, like a person made a video that was clearly biased and clearly mischaracterizing things, but they kept posting like a one screenshot that had a dissenting opinion as proof, and they would post that one video link as proof. Anytime someone would say anything, they would just throw that up there and be like, I think not, stupid shit like that. That was fucking obnoxious. Oh, here's another one. It was consensual. No. If you have to be convinced over the course of many months to do something, and there was a power differential going into it, which there was, not only considering the difference of age, but the difference in dynamic between audience member and person with audience, that's not consent, that's manipulation. Also, grooming can happen at any age. Yet there is the definition of grooming that specifies that it has to be someone below the age of 18. And yes, you can make the argument that she was below the age of 18 when they started talking. So maybe it would fit that definition as well. But people can be slowly manipulated over time into being sexually available to people when they normally wouldn't have been. And that can happen at any fucking age. Moving along, a lot of these notes are duplicates. Oh, and a lot of people were going after cancel culture. And it's so fucking dumb. They just flat out state, and Lindsay Ellis pointed this out in her video about her recent controversy, that the terminology is used as just a blanket defense. Cancel culture's bad, therefore don't look at this thing that's being complained about, because obviously it's not a big a problem as it is, as long as I blame the cancel culture. If you give it a term, then people can hate it easily without thinking about it, and therefore if we're canceling Danny Sexbang because he was being predatory and abusive and a bit of a piece of shit, then yeah, fucking all of a sudden, oh, it's cancel culture. Cancel culture's bad. It's bad. Hashtag justice for Dan Avidan. Fucking ridiculous. And legally, I need to point out, this is all allegations, but like, I remember someone pointed out a while ago, they're like, oh, it's really interesting how people will believe people who standing up for themselves and testifying in the face of power, in the face of backlash about them being abused. Who gets held to standard for that? Who gets held accountable? The people that people already didn't like, or the people that people do like and are more willing to make excuses for? So yes, it's just allegations, but that's not a defense. That's not saying that anything didn't happen. And a lot of people were quick to defend him that probably weren't going to pay attention no matter what. In addition to hating on cancel culture, a lot of people were hating on Twitter in general. And yeah, I don't like Twitter. I don't enjoy Twitter. I only use Twitter nowadays to browse pages that I like and then post when I post a video, post a link and a thumbnail. But there were people in the comments of the Game Grumps episodes being like, oh, I'm here before Twitter shows up. Twitter is not some amalgamation fucking blob of intolerance. It's not just some blanket thing here. Twitter is not a helpful platform, but it is not. If anyone's been on Twitter, you know how people fight on Twitter. It's because they're not all on the same page. There's just a lot of people who are on one page and a lot of people are on a different page. And it's not a useful platform for discussion. So yeah, I don't like Twitter, but you can't write off a whole problematic behavior and minimize someone's abusive experience just because you don't like the platform that it's being discussed on. Also, it turned out that when investigating this, I say investigating, I was just looking into it. People like to overstate, oh, it's investigating, or you have to convince me, or legally speaking. Like, you're at some fucking armchair critic, works at goddamn Costco. Like, that's not a statement on anyone in particular, and I'm not even trying to make a generalization. A lot of people will make these grandiose statements or use this big language when they're not an authority on anything. They're just people, and people can have opinions, but don't act like just because you're using big words that means your fucking argument's better. It's your opinion at the end of the fucking day. But when looking into this and trying to figure out what people were saying about it and what facts were there and how were they being presented and stuff like that, it turns out there's a lot of various problems with fucking Game Grumps. It turns out one of their editors also had a lot of problems with predatory behavior that was not punished and to my knowledge is still employed, or at least was. I don't know. A lot of accusations against various people. Susie had a fucking whole counterfeit fucking Etsy racket that was overcharging people to fuck. There's also a long history of past problematic behaviors and past things that were just not okay. And if you look into it, you can find a lot of shit that I did not realize at the time. And now I'm like, wow. Yeah, maybe it's worth it to not reference Sleepy Time Junction as often because, it makes me so uncomfortable. Also, this also led me to the realization that what's known as parasocial relationships are bad. Let me get the Webster's fucking dictionary definition up here of a parasocial, Parasosci fucking AL, parasocial relationships. Boom. Parasocial interaction refers to a kind of psychological relationship experienced by an audience in their mediated encounters with performers in the mass media, particularly on television. And of course, nowadays that would be particularly on the internet. Basically, it's the kind of relationship you will have with someone that you watch on YouTube or on TV, especially on a platform like YouTube or Twitch or the internet in general, where authenticity is seen as a very high commodity. It's considered very highly the importance of seeming like a real person to the people you're talking to and trying to interact with them as if you're talking right to them and stuff like that. That's where the whole term of let's play came from. It was you and me, audience member. You and I are going to play this game together, even though you're not and you can't respond and all this other stuff. In videos, even videos that are long and uncut, stuff like maybe this, whatever, I'm still editing. If there's something I say or don't want to be in it, I will take it out. I will edit the sound. I will do all these various things. When you are presenting yourself on the internet, you're presenting a version of yourself. Maybe not the preferred version. Maybe it's not a version that's intended to be disingenuous, but it is to a degree. There is a wall there that is hard to notice sometimes, and it feels weird. I remember there was this song by Charlie Is So Cool, like Charlie McDonald from back in the day, called, it was like Waiting for a Reply or something like that, where it was a whole song from the perspective of an audience member that thought more of the relationship that they had with a content creator than there really was. They sent them a reply and wanted to message with them, and slowly they come to realize that they're not going to reply. And they start making excuses like, I know you have a lot of busy time, but maybe when you get a chance to just reply, it doesn't take that long. But that's the thing, is it's not that easy. All right, I only have 8,000 subscribers. Nowhere near that much actually watches my videos, and nowhere near that much actually messages me personally. But it still gets overwhelming for me, and so I don't respond as often as they probably should if I wanted people to believe that I was as available to them as maybe, but I'm not trying to deceive anyone. That's the thing. I present myself as close to real as I can, but I'm also trying to make something that's digestible. So if I fuck up a line in a visual novel reading, I'm going to probably retry the line and edit out the bad one. But if you don't catch that edit, even if you do catch the edit, you might not know what it was. It's going to go along as if that didn't happen. It's going to make me seem better at the thing than I really am. And on a grander scale, if I was trying to convince you that I was a certain kind of person, that I was nicer than I really was, or that, like, a lot of people saw Danny Sexbang as this gentle snowflake of an individual, despite the fact that his persona's last name is literally Sexbang, and a lot of his songs are about being an exaggerated, fucking depraved sexual person. Again, just a persona. I'm not saying he literally is that, even though he did make a joke about how the line between Dan Avedon and Danny Sexband is growing thinner every day. The whole thing is that when you find out how a person is in real life, it kind of fucks up your and you feel betrayed for a bit. Like, if you're a fan of James Corden, I know I'm talking to like 3 of you now, but if you're an actual fan of James Corden and you find out that he's like an asshole in real life, same with like Ellen DeGeneres, notorious nice person on TV, shit person backstage. It's very easy to come to that person's defense because you watch them every day. You know that person. You know them so well. You know they wouldn't act like that. That person must be lying. They wouldn't actually. You don't actually know them. You know about them. You know things about them that they chose to show you. That doesn't mean you know a person. Hell, when me and Bri got together, she made very clear that she's a student of psychology. She found out and holds true to the fact that you have to basically be in constant communication with a person for 7 years? 5 years. 5 years to get to really know a person. Minimum. Because, yeah, outstanding circumstances. We've been living together since 2015. That means we've been living together for 6 years. We know each other at this point. But we didn't for a good amount of that, and we continue to know more and more about each other every day. But imagine if we just knew each other and just got together maybe a couple times a week, maybe once a week. Over the same period of time, we wouldn't know half the shit we know about each other that we do now. But, it's 5 years. That's why I can't stand that concept of like a date and these things of I have to put on a show to try to make the person like me. Then they're going to like a version of you that is not there, even if it goes according to plan, which most cases it won't, because people aren't that fucking dumb to fall for the fact that you are someone you're not. Problem is, it's easier to do that when it's behind a screen, which somehow makes people sometimes forget that it is a performance of sorts. Is if you can change what people think about you, you don't know that person. So if you are really committed to someone you're a fan of on the internet, to the point where you feel like you could be friends with that person, you basically know that person, you need to relook at that relationship, because it isn't a relationship. You're just a fan. They don't know you. You don't know them. You're just a fan. Save yourself the hurt, all right? Because it ain't going to go anywhere good. Okay. What's the rest of these fucking notes? So many of them are just restating the same thing. Because I just was so upset I just kept writing shit down. Oh yeah, a lot of people were just like summarizing and restating what people were saying in the worst possible connotation. It doesn't represent anything, and it just makes people less likely to try to communicate. A lot of people were claiming that she just wanted to make money off of it. That's why a lot of people would discredit women when they stand up to powerful men. They just say that they're just trying to get money off of it. They're just a jilted ex-lover that wants to get popular. You know, because no powerful man has ever actually fucked up before, apparently. You sexist cunts. What else? Yeah, a lot of people came forward to say that he was abusing his power to hit it and quit it. People bringing up John, Mark, Jared, like they bring up JonTron as an example of, you know, they start talking about bad things JonTron has done, talking about how they love Markiplier. Like they're using this as an excuse to reinforce the parasocial relationship they have with Markiplier, as if they know him any better. You don't know him. You don't. You're a fan. His persona is very personable. That doesn't mean you know him as a person. Pro Jared can still go fuck himself, though. And then, yeah, people totally ignoring the coworker that would know him better than any audience member would. And the last note I have here is shut the fuck up if you're defending him because of a lack of evidence. Like I said, just because you see there as a lack of evidence for something doesn't mean that there's evidence of a lacking of thing that happened. All right. So that's long and short of it is, not a fan of Game Grumps anymore. Um, straw that broke the camel's back that helped me realize how many fucking straws I was holding on to and how many were there before I even realized. And it's fucking disappointing, but it helped me have more control over how I see the media I consume.